we're about to pull back the curtain on one of the most powerful and most invisible dynamics in the professional world. This goes way beyond office politics. We're talking about a hidden system of control, a kind of leverage that actually weaponizes your own ambition against you. We're here to dissect the anatomy of the neurological leash.
And this quote, well, it just nails the whole concept, doesn't it? It's a strategy where control isn't about force, it's about perception. It's about convincing you that the sky, your future, your potential, everything you want is a gift that can only be given to you by one specific person.
And that's what we're calling it, the neurological leash. It's this invisible system that takes your ambition, your drive, your deep desire to succeed, and turns it against you. It's a leash made of promises and potential, and it works by literally tethering your nervous system to someone else's approval.
Now this slide shows you a really crucial reframe. On the left is what you hear. You have great potential. It feels like a compliment, right? But on the right is what's often really happening, a diagnostic test. In these high-stakes power dynamics, that phrase isn't just praise. It's a tool. It's a way to gauge your endurance. They're not just looking at your performance, they're testing the stress threshold of your ambition to see just how much you're willing to take for a future that always seems to be just around the corner.
This is the moment your boss stops being just a boss and becomes a gatekeeper. Now, to the most primitive, survival-oriented part of your brain, the person who controls your career path is the person who controls your survival. And this gatekeeper is smart. They paint this amazing, vivid picture of a future version of yourself. You know, the one that's wealthier, more powerful, more respected. And then they just watch. They wait to see how much of your current self, your time, your health, your sanity, you are willing to trade to become that person. So let's move away from the theory for a second and talk about the reality. What does it actually feel like to be on this leash? Well, this is what we call the performance prison. It's a state where your own drive to succeed becomes the very bars of your cage.
Does any of this sound familiar? That sudden weight that just hits you when you realize you're doing the job of 3 people, all for a promise that this is your year. Or that jolt of anxiety, their heart rate spike, the second the gatekeeper's name flashes on your phone. Or maybe it's you finding yourself actually justifying being overworked or belittled. Telling yourself, oh, it's just a test, it'll all be worth it. That's what's called induced anticipatory compliance. Your brain is actively, willingly trading your health today for some promised status tomorrow.
And here's the crucial truth. In the performance prison, you aren't building a career. You are being managed by a reward baseline. Your hunger for recognition, that deep need for status, becomes your biggest weakness. We call it status atrophy. The very thing you want, to be seen and valued, is what makes you invisible. And worse, it hands over the remote control to your own nervous system. You're not playing a game of success, you're losing a game of sovereignty.
So how is this prison actually built? Because trust me, this doesn't happen by accident. It is a system. It's an architecture of capture. We're going to break down the 4 stages of this organizational engineering. It's a seamless loop, and it's designed for one purpose: to turn an ambitious asset into a captured servant.
So it happens in 4 distinct stages that create this loop of capture. It all starts with auditing the dream, which then leads to the goalpost strike. That, in turn, forces you into strategic overfunctioning, and finally, it locks you in place with something called the expectation anchor. Let's break down each one.
Okay, stage 1 is all about reconnaissance. The gatekeeper is auditing the dream. They're carefully, quietly figuring out what it is you really want. Is it money? Is it a specific title you're after? Or maybe it's something way deeper, like the approval you never got from a parent that you've now projected onto them. They are literally building a neurological map of your need to arrive, and this is the critical leverage point. And once they have that map, they move to stage 2, the goalpost strike. Now notice they never give you concrete metrics. You'll never hear, if you do X by Y date, you will get Z. No way. It's always vague stuff like, we just need to see more leadership from you. Or the board isn't quite ready, but you're so close. This is a brilliant biological trap. The uncertainty triggers a flood of dopamine. That's the chemical of pursuit that keeps you hooked. But it also floods you with cortisol, the stress hormone, because of the ambiguity. That mix creates this desperate, agonizing need to just try harder. And that desperation leads you right into stage 3, strategic overfunctioning. Because you've now tied your entire identity to getting this reward, your brain just throws your personal boundaries out the window. You start overperforming. You cover for their mistakes. You stay until midnight perfecting their slide deck.
You might even quiet your own ethical concerns, all because you have to be the perfect candidate. This is the moment you lose control. You are literally trying to earn a seat at a table that is being built from your own exhaustion.
And it all ends in stage 4, the expectancy anchor. This is where the trap slams shut. The boss is no longer just your manager. They have become the permanent judge of your reality. You stop thinking about your value in the outside world because you're constantly looking to them for validation, just to know if you're still on track. The entire power dynamic has shifted. It's not employment anymore. It's a kind of feudal dependency. You've become the petitioner, and they have become the sovereign.
Okay, so we get the architecture, but now we have to look at the psychology of the trap. Why on earth does this work so well, even on incredibly smart, high-achieving people? Well, the answer isn't about a lack of intelligence. It's all about the fundamental wiring of the human brain.
So let's just ask that question directly. Why are people with high IQs, people with high status, so vulnerable to this kind of manipulation? It's because the system isn't designed to fool your intellect. It's designed to hijack your ancient, hardwired survival instincts.
It all comes down to a powerful cognitive bias called the sunk cost fallacy. Think about it. If you've already invested 3 years of your life, your blood, sweat, and tears, waiting for a promotion, your brain doesn't see leaving as a strategic move. It sees it as losing those 3 years. And a skilled manipulator uses this logic against you. Every single time they move the goalposts, they're just getting you to invest more, making it even harder for you to walk away.
And here's the raw biological truth at the center of it all. Your brain's #1 job isn't to make you happy, it's to help you survive. And a huge part of that is avoiding loss. We are neurologically wired to hate losing way more than we enjoy winning. That's your survival radar. So we tell ourselves stories, we rationalize the bad treatment, oh, they're just testing me, because that's easier than admitting the terrifying truth, that we are being chemically managed by our own fear of failure.
Okay, we've diagnosed the problem, we understand the psychology. Now let's talk about the antidote. How do you actually reclaim your sovereignty? The shift is simple, but it is profound. You have to go from a mindset of waiting to a mindset of moving.
Your first counter tactic is what we call market calibration, and this is an act of pure resistance. Every single time you feel that desperate need to prove yourself to them, you have to step back and ask one critical question. If I were 100% independent of this person's opinion, what would my market value be today? Doing this turns their subjective gate into an objective data point. You're taking back control of the narrative.
The second tool is the binary commitment. This is how you completely dismantle the goalpost strike. The next time a future reward is dangled in front of you, you have to make it contractual. You ask the clarifying question, is this a verbal suggestion or is this a structural reality? By demanding metrics, by demanding specifics, you destroy the power of vagueness. And you find out real quick if their promise is a real thing or just a test to see how long you'll stay in the harness.
And this really gets to the fundamental difference in mindset. The petitioner waits for permission. They believe their status is a gift that someone else has to grant them. But the sovereign? The sovereign is always building their exit path. They understand that real power doesn't come from being chosen, it comes from having choices. By always knowing your value on the open market, you prove that your status is earned, not given. And when the gatekeeper realizes they can't buy your present with a fake future, their power just evaporates.
So, after all of this analysis, what is the single most powerful idea you can take away from this? What is the ultimate mental weapon you can use to protect yourself from career capture?
Here it is. True sustainable power is not about being the promoted one. It is not about getting a title from a gatekeeper. It is about being the person who owns the skills that the market actually demands. When your value is tied to your skills, not to a position, you become immune to the neurological leash. Your career is no longer a gift from a sovereign, it's a direct contract with reality itself.
And that leaves us with this final thought. This is the call to action. This is the core principle of career sovereignty. Stop working for the promise that's being dangled in front of you. Start working for the skills that make you valuable to anyone. Because simply being aware of this system is what causes it to collapse. When you own your skills, you own your future.